It's time to talk life, leadership, the NFL, and some other sports too, with Lou Diamond and Evan Money here on Diamond Cuts Money Talks.
Yeah, well, welcome back to another episode of Diamond Cuts Money Talks. I am Lou Diamond.
And I'm Evan Money.
And this is Diamond Cuts Money Talks, the show about life, leadership, the NFL, and other sports too. Evan, but before we start today, I wanted to address the other sports too right out of the game, right out of the gate, excuse me. Do you want to hear about the other sports too?
Other sports? Sure, that'd be a novelty. Let's do it.
Last night, I watched the ESPN docu-series, first 2 episodes of The Last Dance, the story of the 1997-98 Chicago Bulls. Which is really
I'm right there with you. I was waiting for that one to come up, and
it was just so awesome. I could have watched all 10 episodes in one sitting. I 2 hours went by. I was sitting with my son. I'm like, this is awesome. And I grew up with Michael Jordan, as did you, in that sport. And I wanted to start off because there's a leadership lesson in here. I know you're excited about my leadership lesson.
I am beyond excited. Give it to me.
The leadership lesson shows that the harder you work, the better you make others. Because I thought about that team specifically, and obviously the docuseries will go through all the details of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson. Man, did they make Krause look like the most hated person in the world, Jerry Krause. We'll talk about him, the GM.
Oh, yes.
But what was so important was nobody knew how hard that man, Michael Jordan, worked. Nobody understood how much he drilled, his free throws, his weights, his strength, his competitiveness. Nobody knew how hard it was. In fact, even the people in the Bulls organization were willing to just forgive that season. They even thought about trading up some of these pieces to end the dynasty, forgetting that this man, who was the hardest working guy in the world, made everyone around him better. And that's what this series will show, is that as that season progressed, that team just got better and better and better for how hard he pushed, how hard he led, how hard he worked, and how much he wanted to win. It's so awesome. I just think he's the greatest competitor we've ever seen. Forget about sports. That's my other sports side.
Yes, and to chime in on that, what I thought was interesting on a leadership perspective is when Michael talked about his rookie season, and he said, I couldn't lead with my voice.
Yes.
Because I was the rookie. He said, all I could lead with is my actions.
Yes.
And, the classic, right? I can't hear a word you're saying. Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear a word you're saying. But to consciously understand, like, okay, I can't say jack to these guys. I can just go out on the court and have them go, oh, wow. Oh, all right. This kid's legit. Okay. So there's that was really, again, for that he got it. He understood, like, okay, I can't say jack. I can just go out and play.
And I'll lead with this. At 22 years old, or 22 going on 23, when they were willing to forgo the amount of minutes he wanted to play. I guess it was 23 at that point. It's like, no, 22, because he left as a junior. So he was 22, and he's like, I don't play for the lottery. I play to win every single game. And if they didn't play as hard as they did, we never would have gotten what was the gift to the world, was to watch those first 2 games at Boston Garden, where he, in that 86 playoffs, watching that man score 49 and then 63 points. And it was just so awesome. So
yes.
I've always hated him because I was a New York Knicks fan when he played during that era. But as time went on, I just grew in awe of respect of his abilities. But his leadership skills is something to be commended. So that's my 2 cents today. Okay.
No, I love that. And yeah, we could really dive down the leadership tunnel, but I love as we segue to the NFL. Yes. I still remember listening to some, like you hear in the huddles And, everyone like has their own idea of what's going on in the huddle. Like, okay, is the quarterback giving them a pep talk? What are they saying? What's going on? What's happening? And I still remember, Arizona Cardinal legendary quarterback talking about how in the huddle, and I think going back to previous shows where you talked about the Super Bowl where Fitzgerald caught and that's what got us into this next topic here. But, Fitzgerald making the would-be winning game, right? And then the, Ben Roethlisberger triple coverage or whatever. But everyone's talking about, oh, what did they say in the huddle? And I still remember the quarterback's just like, yeah, we didn't say much in the huddle. I just called the play. So it's not these, it's, everyone thinks, oh, you got to give this fiery rah-rah speech and this and that and da-da-da. No, it's so much is done with the look in your eyes. So much is done with how you carry yourself. And that goes down to the Cam thing, right? When Cam's sulking, right, it's like, okay, that's not a leader, right? Leaders don't sulk. So there's so much to the leader component rather than, oh, I got to give these great words and this great speech and this and this. No, you don't. You have to have, the tone and the body posture and that, the eye of the tiger and the look in your eye, that goes way, way farther than, oh, well, I'm not whenever I get a leadership position, then I'll start leading. No. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and so interestingly, and this will segue into it, there are 3 individuals that I have seen since Michael Jordan who have that look, that killer look of absolute, I'm going to take you down. And they are in 3 different sports. I will finish with football because I think that will be most appropriate. I'm going to stick with basketball. The other individual is Kobe. Even more so than LeBron, when Kobe in the 08s, 07s, 09s, or that window was the dominant one on the Lakers and the NBA. He's so similar to Michael in the way he played, but the way he wanted to win in that Black Mamba theory, he had that look. You saw it. It was it would look right through you. So that he was one. Before that period and thereafter, Tiger Woods was the next one.
Yeah.
I in 2006, when he came back and eventually beat Chris DeMarco at the Masters, there is a look of him before he hit that incredible chip on 16. It rolled all the way up and came all the way back, and it went in, which was unbelievable. And they had that terrible high five with his caddy. But he had a look in him moving to the 17th hole that was unbelievable. And you just saw it, like you couldn't get in his way, and he just was going to look through you. And the last is Tom Brady. And I saw it. I've seen it in recent Super Bowls, and in that Atlanta Super Bowl when they came back, they had a camera shot of him on the field, and he just was looking. I'm like, oh my God, forget it. He's not missing a pass. He's not missing a play. They're going to win it. And those are champions. They have that killer instinct look to take the moment when we need to. Now, speaking of taking the moment, here are our topics for today, Evan Money, on Diamond Cuts Money Talks, because so our listeners need to know that we do have a theme for our show. Our theme will start off with a trivia question, which I have searched the annals of the history of the National Football League to find something that will get Evan's head spinning. That'll be our trivia question. And I have the question today because I think we're going like 2 and 2 or something like that because he did the first 2. Then we will have our which do you want to do today? You want to do timely or timeless first? Which do you want to do?
Let's do timely because you got to end with the timeless.
We're going to do timely today, which will be which we'll get to when we get to. But we have a timely topic section which has to do with our prediction for this season, and then we will have a timeless section where we will ask questions about the timelessness, whether from a leadership point of view or the greats of the game. That is what we will do. So our trivia, our timely and our timeless will be our flow for today. Okay. You with me? You ready to rock and roll? Ready to do it?
I'm ready for the drum roll trivia. Here we go.
Okay, drum roll. Our trivia question for the day. And if you get 3 out of the 4, I'll be impressed with this. 2 out of 4, I'll be impressed. Okay. We have the NFL draft coming up very soon, at a few days after the launch of this episode. And it turns out that in the history of the NFL, there are only 4 active teams that have never picked the first overall pick in the draft.
Oh.
They've never had the number 1 selection where they got to pick first above anybody. Can you name Can you name any of the 4 teams that have never picked first overall in the draft?
Wow. Never picked first in the draft.
Now, I will let you know, I only knew one of these 4. I didn't, it was not because I just didn't know that they didn't have it, but I knew one team had never had it because I think it had been mentioned once, maybe in passing or something.
Well, I mean, every team.
Now, wait, I have to put my notes here.
Every team has stunk at one point or another.
Evan, that is so true.
That bad, right? And some teams haven't been around. Wow. I'm going to say Washington Redskins. I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say and also they may have traded out too. Something they've stunk, but maybe they've never done it. I want to say the Steelers. And wow. How about the Browns? Oh no, Browns recent now because they dominated for a long, long time. Those are the only. Well, you know what? Maybe Al Davis and the Raiders. All right, those are my 4.
Thrive Loud listeners need to know, if you haven't already looked it up on your internet search engine. Yeah, Evan did an 0 for here. He got 0 for 5.
Okay.
The only 4, and by the way, the only team that I got, and I only knew this because it was brought to my attention this past year because they had the most valuable player in the NFL. So the Baltimore Ravens have never had the first overall pick. Yeah. Well, and that, by the way,
does that harken back to when they were the Browns?
Okay, so no, it's active teams. So yes, so the Browns technically.
Okay, that doesn't count.
So the Ravens, the Seattle Seahawks.
The Seahawks really?
Never had the first overall pick.
Really?
The Jacksonville Jaguars have never had the first overall pick.
Okay.
And this one surprised me. The Denver Broncos have never had the first overall pick. So, and I thought about what you were saying, like teams that have been, really bad or good. It turns out Steelers way back when were never that good.
Yes.
So they had a couple. The Packers had a window of after, in the 70s and whatnot that were terrible. And you mentioned one other one in there. Oh, the Redskins. The Redskins did have one, but it was a long time ago. So,
okay. So the Redskins only had one. Okay.
So, but what was interesting was, I think, to be the first overall pick, at least in the last 25 to 30 years, you had to be the worst team in the league.
Yes.
And with that, I think it was really interesting that these teams have never actually been the worst team in the league. Even the Jaguars have never been the worst team. To be the worst is like one hell of a accomplishment. I know that was a tough question. I apologize. That wasn't like as killer as last week.
No, it's okay. I'm shocked that the Denver Broncos have never had a number 1. I do know that up until recently, they've never had back-to-back losing seasons. That was I heard that.
Incredible. That's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
That's a tribute to that's a tribute to one of two things. Either the AFC West has always been terrible, or maybe more notably, they just happen to have great teams each year, which I think the Broncos are always in the conversation. So I think that's good. But anyway, we move on from trivia to our timely topics.
Yes.
So the timely topic that we have gone through this week is that Evan has asked me and himself, he asked himself this, to predict the 7, or shall I say 14 teams that will make the playoffs, because listeners, as they know, they've added one team to the wild card this year. So now only the number 1 seed gets a bye. Everyone else has to play on, I guess they'll do 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday on wild card weekend, which will be amazing.
Double triple header. Gotta love it.
Oh, double triple header. Oh, I love Can't wait for January. All right. So I can't wait for January for so many other reasons. Maybe we'll have a vaccine by then. Okay. So I made my predictions and then you made yours. So why don't we do this? Let's do the AFC first.
Okay, AFC first. And then to clarify for everyone out there, we're doing this now,
yes,
because we're going to see how it changes after the draft and after the next, next free agent frenzy that always happens right after the draft. So we'll see who's shifted and who's what, and then we can see if we're going to remove some or take some out. So
I'm feeling, I'll say this, I actually feel really good about my NFC. I'm not so sure how I feel about my AFC because I kind of went on a limb here. But how would you want me to go first? You want to go first?
I'll go first for AFC, and then you go first for NFC. Since you're
perfect.
All right.
Okay, you go.
So here's what I got for division winners.
Cool.
AFC division winner, Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Okay, it's Buffalo's time, baby. We've been waiting centuries for it seems. So at last, Buffalo Bills, Ravens, no surprise. Tennessee Titans, I think with, the tools that they have and everybody signed, that they are going to grind it out and do it again. And of course, who would count out the Chiefs? The Chiefs. Okay. So those are 4 division winners. Now it comes down to wild cards, which I think is going to be fun. So I'm definitely putting the Patriots in as a wild card. I am going to put the Steelers in as a wild card, with Big Ben being back. And my wild card is the Raiders.
Wow. That is. So we're pretty similar.
Okay.
We're pretty similar. I too went with the Bills winning the AFC East. Which it's got to be like, there's got to be some prop that eventually you win that, because the Patriots have won it for so many years in a row. I can't even think. It's funny. I don't know how my brain forgot about the Titans, but I somehow, I don't know, maybe something bad's going to happen to them or something, but I did not put the Titans. I didn't even put them in the playoffs. Whoa. Listen to this. So I've got the Texans, the Houston Texans winning their division.
Okay.
I've got the Chiefs and the Ravens, respectively, winning their division. So that's the Bills, Texans, Chiefs, Ravens. So we're different there in the Texans versus Titans. Same number of letters, though. Texans from Titans. Anyway, maybe not. Yes, same number of letters. Anyway, my wildcard teams are the Patriots, the Steelers, and here's my long shot, the Jaguars.
Oh!
I'm going like they're going to have some ridiculous, no one's going to have any idea of the worst team in the league is going to come up. I'm just, that's my long shot of long shots.
Wow, that is a long shot. Unless Minshew Mania, he gets, well, who knows? They may get a quarterback. There's all kinds of stuff. But okay.
I mean, as long as you possibly can. I'm long the Jaguars this season.
I think that's one. I don't know how they have all these crazy numbers in Vegas. I'm not a wagering man, but I know it's what 1 to 20, 1 to 2,000 or 2,500 is the highest. I think the Jags would give you the best odds, worst odds, should I say?
I'm just going with the chance that maybe they're due. Okay. So again, now let's go into the National Football Conference for the NFC.
Okay.
I don't think I'm doing anything so crazy. It felt very chalk-like. Okay. So I've got the Cowboys winning the East.
Oh, really?
Just so we can mention their owner in this show.
Okay.
That guy, Jerry Jones, needed a shout out in the DCMT podcast from Lou this time.
There it is. Well, I've got a shout out too. Do you want me to do it now or when you're done?
Oh, well, after I'm done, you can give me a shout out.
Okay.
Okay. So I got the Cowboys winning the division. It has not so much, by the way, I want to speak about this. It has not so much to do with whether the Eagles have fallen flat or the Redskins are confused or the Giants are just the Giants. I'm just going by the fact that I think the Cowboys finally get their act together. That's my bet. The Nolan Saints win the Southeast.
Okay.
The Seahawks win the West.
Ooh.
And I've got the Vikings winning the Nordic Central Division.
Oh, the Vikes. Wow.
Okay. And my 3 wild cards are the Packers coming from that same division.
All right.
The Rams.
Okay.
I dropped out the Super Bowl the NFC champs, the Niners. I didn't even make the playoffs, just like I didn't make the Titans. I knocked them out. And I now have my last playoff spot, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ah, yes. You can't leave out TBTB, baby.
Yes. So I actually even almost had them winning the division, but realized that might have been a little short-sighted. So that's my call.
All right. Well, Lou, let me tell you why Dallas is not going to win the division. And let me tell you why Dallas is not even going to the playoffs. All right.
Wow.
Okay, here we go. Got to mention Jerry, right? So, okay, if you recall, and it was riveting TV at the time, because that's really all there was. Do you remember the Dallas press conference, the 2-hour, saga with Mike McCarthy?
Yes.
Okay. So do you remember the one player that Mike McCarthy mentioned, like right in the beginning of the opening statements? He was like blinking back tears. He mentioned one of his players. Do you remember who that was?
What his new players on the Dallas Cowboys, or
it was a new player on the Dallas Cowboys that he had formerly coached at the Packers.
Oh,
that would be a trivia question, but that's okay.
I don't know who it was.
Okay, so he right in the beginning, he comes in, the weepy happy coach, and he points the finger, recognizes Randall Cobb.
Right. Okay.
I do remember. Hey, Randall, good to see you. I mean, just the fact that Randall's coming to the press conference. Like, how many other players came to the press conference? I doubt the whole team was there, right? So Randall Cobb sitting in the front row, excited. The band is back. Coach is back. We're going to rock. And then a couple weeks later, Jerry ships Randall Cobb off to the Texans. What a great introduction to working with Jerry Jones. And so a lot of people missed that. So this is why Dallas is back to its old Dallas ways. And what a way to start the McCarthy era.
So who do you have winning the NFC East?
All right. NFC East is going to be Philly. It's going to be Philly.
Okay. You're sticking with Philly. Okay.
It's going to be Philly. So whether or not Wentz lasts the whole season, nobody knows. That's another reason I did a deep dive for all you NFL super fans. There's a podcast with Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah where they do a 360. They did a 360 on Tua Tagovailoa. And wow, the more I listened, the more I fell in love with this kid. And I was just like, man, I hope he can stay healthy. But I just have these visions of Tua being like Philly's quarterback, where he's all hard, he's making the plays and da-da-da-da-da, but just can't stay healthy. So Philly's going to win.
Okay.
But I just won Tua Tagovailoa because I practice his name so often. Story. They have a funny story about his dad sharing that, or was it one of the coaches? Somebody was sharing that they came to like Hawaii's, obviously not the football, machine, right? So they're having these
although from a quarterback perspective, I guess they're starting to make a name for themselves, right? We have our Hawaiian quarterback who went to Oregon, who obviously played for the Titans. I'm blanking on his name. Number 2 pick in the draft.
Who's now a Raider.
A Raider. Thank you. Yeah. So we got one guy, now another guy, and there's probably more out there. So.
No, I mean, there's some, but it's, you don't look at it as like, Southern Orange County, where it's just this, machine of football. So needless to say, all the football happens like in one area. So they're having this camp and they're having the high schoolers throw in one end, and they're having like the 7 and 8 year olds like 2 fields down. Okay. Now, Lou, I just want you to picture this. Picture you as 8 years old throwing a football, right?
I would love to say I thought I was better than I was. I was a better receiver. But anyway, yes, I'm imagining myself.
Okay. So at 8 years old, I can't even palm a regular football, let alone get a good throw, right? I got my Nerf, right? I'm deadly with my Nerf at 5 yards, but regulation football. So what happens is Tua leaves the 7 and 8 year olds, goes over to the high school group, and is matching throws with the high schoolers, throwing 30-yard outs at 8 years old. And that's when everybody's like, "Ooh, who's this guy? Ooh, who's this guy?" And the name, off the top of your head, Marcus Mariota. The coaches tried to shoo him out. They're like, "Get out of here, kid! Beat it, kid! You bother me. Go back to your little 8-year-olds." And Marcus took him under his wing and protected him and said, "Hey, no, you stay with us. You stay with us."
Wow.
That was the legend. The legend was born of Tua at 8 years old, throwing 30-yard outs. And I'm just like, wow. Okay, regardless.
So you have Philly winning the East.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of Tua, but again, don't know if he's going to stay healthy. Henceforth, the Philly reference. So Philly winning the East. The Packers, of course. The New Orleans Saints, that's a no-brainer. And then I think the Niners are just going to reload. I mean, that's That's their division for sure. However, wild cards is where it's going to get fun. So we only have a few variances here. So it's good to see that great minds think alike here. So wild card, number one, I'll match with you, is TB.
Yep, we got it.
Okay. Next wild card is it's going to be the Rams.
Which was one of mine, too. So
yes, the Rams are coming back, and the Seahawks are not, because if you look at the Pete Carroll era, they kind of have these spikes and downs where they're up and then they don't make the playoffs and just so I think it's just a slight down year for the Hawks. So Tampa Bay, the Rams, and here it comes. This will segue into our timeless topic. Cardinals are making playoffs. Yes, because this is the reason the Texans are not making the playoffs because DeAndre Hopkins now plays for the Cardinals, in case you forgot. So you have to double him. So if you're doubling him, that means you got to single Larry and the two other receivers. So you're telling me Larry Fitzgerald still can't win cutting across the middle one-on-one? I mean, that's a no-brainer, dude. That's guaranteed 8 yards every time.
It's interesting because I'm looking at the NFL over-unders. This is on Odds Shark of the 2020 win total. This gets you that over-under, the number of wins. And so I want to go to our wild card teams because I have the Bucs, the Rams, and the Packers, and you have the Bucs, the Rams, and the
Cardinals.
Okay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have it 9 wins. So that's right around playoff numbers there. Okay. Los Angeles Rams, they have at 9 wins, right at that level. Okay, now let's look at the Packers and let's look at the Arizona Cardinals. The Packers, they have it 9.5 wins. By the way, Vikings.
And a new stat, a half win.
Okay, well, a half win is if you want to make the wager, they're basically saying, 9 loses, 10 does. 9 is a push otherwise, but 9.5 wins. And your Arizona Cardinals at 7.5. So the Arizona Cardinals is definitely a stretch because they don't even have, they barely have them. They have them below breaking even. But very interesting. Really, really cool. I'll tell you, but getting back to my long shot, the Jaguars are a rocking 5.5 wins. So, which is the low for the season. So when I am right, and everyone says, how did you know that the Jaguars would be a playoff team? I'm just going to say, the force was with me.
Yes. So speaking of that, fun segue to the Last Dance. Did you catch the first? Because I'm skipping the commercials, but
I didn't miss a thing.
Okay, did you the ESPN time capsule? Did you catch?
Wait, that was the best ad of all time.
That was glorious.
They show Linda Cohn and what's his name? Who's doing it? Who's the ESPN announcer? Is that what you're referring to?
Where he's like in 2020, we're going to call it
because we're going to wait. We're going to wait to 2020, and we're going to put this out there. We're going to promote it, Ben. I mean, it was genius. It was so good. I will say that, look, that there's nothing going on in the world of sports when the top 8 minutes of the 11 p.m. Sports Center on ESPN was highlighting the docuseries. There was nothing to talk about except, look at what they talked about in the docuseries. It's so well produced. It really is. I'm a big fan, I guess, of documentaries and film and movies and appreciating how directors put stuff together. I love what they're doing on that show with the timeline. They show the timeline of the season and, and they keep flashing back to the year, to 68, to 84, to 88. Really smart. And I can't wait till they get into the whole thing with Dennis Rodman next week in the Bulls.
Oh, yeah.
The Bulls and the Pistons, and they'll go back to that whole thing.
So here's my question for you, Lou, because many may not know, I am also a documentary filmmaker.
Yes.
So
shameless plug. Shameless
plug. So I have 2 of my docs you can see on Amazon Prime, but they are non-sports. So I'm thinking, Lou, let me ask you this. Is there any subject other than sports? Because for you and I, 10 hours of that would have gone by in 10 seconds.
I could talk movies forever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what movie it is. I could talk.
Oh, no, but let me ask you, is there a subject? Let me ask you this. So going to Einstein's theory of relativity, which is great, is you stand in line at this is Evanized Einstein's theory of relativity. Spend time with a pretty girl and 5 hours seems like 5 minutes. stand in line at the DMV and 5 minutes seems like 5 hours. Okay. that is the theory of relativity. So is there, watching this docuseries with the Bulls, again, 2 hours went by in 2 minutes, right? We're like, I need more. I can't wait till next week. Why do I have to wait? So is there another documentary? Is there another subject that you could actually watch for 10 hours and still be riveted other than sports, Lou Diamond?
I had a joke in me, and I took the PC version. I was about to say, well, there's porn, but I controlled myself. I'm kidding. I'm just being funny.
He's on lockdown, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm in lockdown. No, I've got one. Other than sports.
Well, you could literally make a 10-hour documentary, because in our world, like the last doc that I did, we had 30 hours of footage. We had to get it down to an hour and 10 minutes. So,
well, look, I mean, I watched The Tiger King, and I could not believe that I watched a train wreck of that, and that is truly a docuseries, and it's unbelievable, and it's amazing how you could be drawn into anything. I've got two topics that I think would be fascinating.
Okay.
I like history.
Okay.
So I do, and I like the histories of business.
Mm.
So I think it would be fascinating to have maybe even almost companies by decade. I could literally watch one per decade and watch the evolution of business in that time and how they changed, the way you do things. I think because the speed of that today is so incredible, that would be fun to watch.
But 10 hours, you could do a 10-hour documentary on that, you think?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Easily. I mean, you could have to do an hour per decade of the last 100 years of business.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
The other thing that I think would be cool would be I could watch 10 hours of I could watch 10 hours of the business of entertainment. And I'm talking, I mean, and we've seen it. Yeah. Like I could have watched I watched the 6-hour special that they did on Roger Ailes, the awful human being from Fox, the Fox News Network, who obviously was like a rapist and an absolute terrible human being, but all the stories of how they treated women in that culture and that, but understanding the business of entertainment, whether it's news or production, I love it, getting the behind the scenes stuff. Any of those shows, I would love that. That would be cool.
Okay.
All right. Good segue. I don't know where that fell into our categories and other things. So, but I will say though, I think we were pretty even on our teams. I'm a big fan. I can't believe I didn't even put the Titans in the playoffs looking at my list here, but I wanted to be like an outlier. We'll see where we go with the changes. The one thing I will say is that no one's ever gotten their predictions 100% right. There's always a surprise team, hence the Niners last year. Mm-hmm. And I think what's really important about each of these teams is when you watch the season go by, watch how these teams that we've just picked, if they're on the edge, they always seem to pick the best teams always pick up towards that 5/8 point of the season. Like right after the halfway point, in November into December, they start to pick up gear. So that should be pretty cool. We'll look at that when we get to the season. I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah. And there's a whole conspiracy theory about weather and the whole thing. And I still remember the arena football game that is now like the top. I think they ranked at the top 3 games ever in NFL history. And I remember watching it, semi-live, a little delayed so I could skip. But that rumble in the jungle of the LA Rams at home playing the Chiefs, and it was 53-51.
Yes, great game.
And everybody's like, this is the new NFL. And I'm like, dude, this is arena football. This is why we loved arena football. It was just like this, nonstop. And then comes November, December, and it's like, oh, yeah, back to regular.
Yes, and then back to your regularly scheduled program. And the Super Bowl final will be 13-9. Okay.
Yes. So that's fascinating from the weather perspective about football, which is one of the rare sports. Baseball, not really, but football. You're going from, we're in Miami and it's 100 plus with 100 plus, humidity ratio, and then a couple months later, right? Miami's sitting in Buffalo trying to win. So that aspect of the NFL is fascinating.
The thing about the NFL that's always the biggest misnomer, and this is a great betting thing to take advantage of for those who are listening who wager on sports. And that is that while cold weather definitely keeps the game at lower scoring points, snowy weather is actually take the over every single time. Because what most people think is, the quarterback's not going to be able to throw the ball or they're not going to be able to run. People forget that the defense can't stop and they can't cut. So it's actually, you can go look at it. Snowy football games are not low scoring football games. They're exciting because they're like, whoops, can't get that guy. He's off. We have no idea where he is.
Yeah, just ask the Raiders when their journey to Buffalo. I believe that was a AFC championship game. And then I still remember last year was it Shady McCoy, right?
Yeah,
and all his, right. I love the snow because he's cutting all over. So, no, that's an interesting. I think you should go dig and bring that back next time, is to see how many. It's got to be like 65-70% where the over wins in a snow.
It's really crazy, and what's so crazy is people don't bet it. They it's almost like they ignore the line, like like someone forgets it or something. But okay, with that being said, we have those were our timely topics, and we will revisit those timely topics, listeners, when we get to it. But now we need to talk about the timeless.
Yes.
And this was approached when we talked about a man whose bicep was as big as Evan's head. But it led to the question, which Evan asked me in an email. He goes, who are the 5 greatest wide receivers of all time? I loved this question, by the way. But can we eliminate the obvious?
No, we just start at 5 and go up. Because...
Well, no, but I mean, unless I'm going to be surprised on something, I don't think either one of us disagrees that both of us are in agreement that that Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver of all time. Can we? Okay. So
let's give him his due. That's the thing. Just we'll give him the greatest. Oh yeah,
we'll slot him up there. So real the story is moving 5 all the way up to Jerry because I didn't want, we could have killed.
Well, you could even go as far as saying, Jerry, there's Jerry and there's everyone else, right?
Exactly.
So we could do our own top 5 and not include Jerry because it's like, you're so far from Jerry.
I thought about that. That's exactly what I thought about. I'm like, well, this is silly because we all know that Jerry is the greatest on every list, on everywhere you look, and we'll talk about his greatness when we get to that top of the list here. But keeping it for time's purposes and our listeners' ears, we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we'll talk about Jerry.
Okay.
You take 5 first. Who is your number 5 on your list?
5. I'm going to give you one word to describe number 5, and this word gets thrown out like every time I hear announcers say that, I just sigh because every time they say that, the team ends up losing. But legitimately, at his peak, and even in the right system later in his career, he was the one man you could really put this description by, and the one word is unstoppable, and that is Randy Moss.
Wow,
Randy Moss was legitimately unstoppable in Minnesota, and even in New England, and a lot of that was scheme, but in Minnesota, it was almost, I think a lot of teams, and Lombardi set the blueprint, Lou, and everybody keeps forgetting. I don't know what it is about the NFL, but they run a play and it works, and then they don't run it again, or they only run it one other time. Harken back to the power sweep, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to run it and you stop it. The Cowboys did it. That's why, hey, how do we get a dynasty like the Cowboys? They ran the same 6 plays over and over and over. Emmett off tackle right, Emmett off tackle left, Emmett off tackle, or Emmett up the middle. You stop it. He's coming, you stop it. So if they would have thrown it more to Randy, they would have been in the Super Bowl. But it's like, we can't go to the well that many times. Yes, you can with Randy Moss. The adjective, people don't say that, that dude got riced, or, that dude got Fitzgerald, or, that dude. No. They say you got mossed. So when you have a word like that, I'm shame on you, Minnesota, for not throwing it to Randy Moore, because he was unstoppable. And then you got the whole New England side of just like, hey, that guy's this old, he can't run that fast. And the whole season he's running by everybody. It's like, are you not watching film? Cover Randy Moss.
Evan, I couldn't agree more. So much so that I have him much higher on the list.
Ooh.
So we'll keep it at that as you continue to move up. But I get maybe I'll share my number 5.
Okay.
My number 5 really never really got the due he deserved, except for the fact that I think what he was always known for, or what announcers or what one specific announcer always referred to him as, is the reason why he is, in my mind, the 5th greatest wide receiver of all time. Because all he does is catch touchdowns. And that would be Cris Carter.
Yes.
Whether on the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Vikings, it did not matter. This guy got open in the red zone, in the end zone, and caught when it delivered. And at an unbelievable level. His stats are through the roof as it relates to touchdowns scored. Some argue that he's one of the best short pattern runners. He did not have the athletic skill of Randy Moss, but he certainly was the hardest working guy. So I never really appreciated how good he was until you started to realize that all he ever did was score touchdowns. And there is an art to getting open in that component. So I have him a lot higher on list than a lot of other people do, but he's my number 5.
And there's I challenge you to watch it, Lou, because you've got time now. Watch the Football Life that they did on him, and it will give you so I like when you give me suggestions, I take it. So I watched, who's the pop singer? Come on.
You watched the Taylor Swift Americana?
Yeah, I watched it. I had my kids watch certain scenes of it. It was glorious.
It was good, right?
It was really good because I'm like, look,
still
this is
impressed
how hard it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how hard it is to do what she's doing.
Yes.
So I encourage you to watch his Football Life, and there's a scene where he actually goes back to the projects that I'll let you go through the journey with him, but he physically autographs the door of the project where he lived in.
Oh, wow.
And it was just this amazing moment, this transformation. Yeah, you got to watch it, dude.
I will. Yeah. So he was in my top 5. So,
okay. So good. Well deserved.
Who is, do you take number 4?
All right. Number 4. I don't have just one word, but I got a statement for number 4. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So my number 4 was slower than every DB he faced, yet he has better records than everybody, and that's none other than Steve Largent.
It's funny, in my honorable mention list, he was there. I did not crack the top 5 with him, but
can you not crack the top?
I loved him. I loved him as a player. But yes, I can. He's a very deserving number 4 on that list. That's a good call.
Steve, he made all the records pre-Jerry. Steve was sure. Jerry before he retired. So what's again so great about Steve is you look at the predecessors from him. They all owe him a debt of gratitude. So the guys like Steve Smith, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Cole Beasley, Julian Edelman, even Randall Cobb. All those guys got a shot in the NFL because of Steve Largent.
That's a great point.
They said, "Hey, look, you're undersized, but hey, Steve, look what Steve did. Okay, we'll give you a shot." So that's why I think Largent deserves it, just because of what he had to work with. And again, it proves hard work beats talent when those fast DBs don't want to be disciplined. And it's like, dude, you're twice as fast as him. How's he getting open? So hats off to Steve Largent.
I like it. My number 4, he's not the most talented, but man, he made such a difference and such an impact. And a lot of people did not like his attitude because he was larger than life. But as a wide receiver, this guy, you know where I'm going.
I do, and I don't want you to go there.
I'm going to T.O. Because I'm going to give you, it's one particular game, and it's a game that he did not win. When the Patriots beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl I'm not going to get the year, but it was in the somethings.
How would you go to that game?
I'm going to go to that game.
After what happened and what? Oh, my God.
T.O. literally basically like almost won that game for the Eagles and kept them in that. He was unbelievable. And wherever he went, the guy was just ridiculous. In his San Francisco prime years, the man was unbelievable. The numbers, the stats, the everything, the talent. I know he's maybe the least likable wide receiver of all time, but you cannot knock the numbers and the talent. Just go look at them. They're top 5 in just about any category because he's that good. I agree with the his antics, but T.O. you can't argue with the results.
Well, you can because he didn't get results. He got results, personal results, but
well, I know it's hard to always give championships in football when there's so many other factors.
Yes,
I hear you. So
no, but he was the fact. See, that's the thing. This is why, and my number 3 will share that, right? Because you look at Randy never won a Super Bowl. Largent never won a Super Bowl, right? But it wasn't because of them that they didn't win. T.O. is I don't know him, haven't met him. But just looking as a sports fan on the outside in, good things did not happen in the locker room when T.O. showed up.
I do not disagree with you.
So yes, you can perform on the field, but when you're cancering the locker room, that keeps you from winning championships. So
fair enough. We agree to disagree.
Yes. I agree. I agree about you cannot deny the production on the field and the skill set. It was like, that's incredible. But we're not in a machine game. We're in a human game. So if on the human side, you're destroying the team, it's like, I don't care how good you are. I can't have you on my team. But
number 3.
Yes, number 3 for me. Dun, dun, dun. And then, let's go back to T.O. It doesn't end, right? The whole passive-aggressive, I'm not going to show up to the Hall of Fame. Come on, man. No. That was the final straw. I was like, see what you get for putting him in. This is what you get. Anyway, so number 3. Harkening back to biceps.
Oh yeah, I think we both have him as number 3.
Yes, and being awestruck and stuff. That's Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald, and I'm with you. We could speak because we both have it as number 3 and together.
Yep, but just real quick because I have to add this. But Larry started as a T.O. and a Randy Moss. It was all about me, all about my stats, all about me. I'm this, and he was key to admit, like, he even had a strained relationship with his mom because it was like, leave me alone. I want to do my thing. And a lot of people don't know, and you'll see this when you watch the other documentary I share with you. But Randy Moss and Mr. All He Does Is Catch Touchdowns, they used to go watch Larry's high school games.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so Larry grew up with the team, right? Just hanging out with those guys. So he went from me to we and watching the transformation with Kurt Warner. But I'm just telling you, I predict that Larry Fitzgerald is going to have his best season ever because of DeAndre Hopkins. You watch. You watch in 2020.
So I'm going to share my 2, and then I want to hear yours because my 2 we've mentioned before was your number 5, and that is that I have Randy Moss as my number 2 for all the reasons you said, and I actually would comment that Randy Moss athletically was the best player to play this position. This guy could have been an NBA basketball player if you saw his high school skills and stats, and he was faster and more talented than anyone. And I saw that 30 for 30 special of the place where he came from, in some of the most impoverished place in West Virginia you'll ever imagine, with some really corrupt issues early on, which were not his fault. And he overcame all of that and became as great as he is. He's my number 2. Yes. So who is your number 2?
Well, a lot of people, also, I got to give you one, Randy. A lot of people don't know Randy Moss was responsible for getting Bill Belichick to dress up as a pirate.
I think I knew that.
Yes, in the infamous team building, roller skating, roller rink night with the Patriots that Bill still smiles and has a fond penchant for. But it wasn't just like, oh, here's my goofy hat. I mean, Bill was all in. He was full pirated, like straight off the Pirates of the Caribbean set. He went
and a patch. I think he had a patch too.
Yeah. Yes, and loved it. So we got to give it to Randy for that one. I mean, come on.
I hear you. So who is your
having a roller skating rink night? No, but Randy is. Okay.
Your number 2.
Number 2. I had to dig for this, and I'm ashamed. I have to come forward with my shame that I did not hearken the lore of this team and of this player. But I'm going to give you some stats.
Sure.
And I'm going to blow your mind. Are you ready, Lou?
I'm ready to be
Okay.
impressed.
First player in the NFL to get to 99 touchdowns. And I'm sorry, 99 touchdowns. And let me give you just some numbers here. It took Larry. This guy did it in 11 years.
Oh wait, I already know who it is. Okay, I got it.
Took Larry Fitzgerald 13 years, Randy Moss 9 years, Steve Largent 14 years, Jerry Rice 8 years. This guy did it 11 years. He also, 1 year, he led the league in touchdowns and interceptions. And not only that, he was the kicker too.
Oh, this goes way back. This goes way back.
Yes. He's won 3 championships. Again, tell me a player that has led the league in TD receptions and interceptions, same year. 1 year, he scored 17 touchdowns. 17, okay? And he played from 1935 to 1945 when they threw the ball once every 3 games just to keep the defense honest. Okay?
I saw it in a list, but share with the listeners.
This is none other than Don Hutson of the Green Bay Packers.
I saw this is a true leatherhead, our fans. This guy literally wearing it. I looked at that and saw his stats with it. And I think there are 2 types of games and eras, but anyone who could play both ways deserves to be as high as this. So very impressive. I'm giving you the golfer's clap here. Here was my honorable mention before we talk about the greatest of all time. My honorable mention ones was Lance Allworth of the Chargers.
Ooh, okay.
I also had Steve Largent there. And it's hard to not have the conversation of Carter, Fitzgerald, and Moss without mentioning Marvin Harrison. And the Syracuse University great and favorite receiver to Peyton Manning. What you really have to be impressed with was the first few years of the Colts. The Colts did not have a very good offensive line. And this guy was obviously Peyton was getting the ball off and this guy Harrison was getting in the end zone a lot. So he was up there in that mix. But all these receivers, Carter, Fitzgerald, Moss, Hudson, Allworth, Largent, they all were amazing. And then there's Jerry Rice.
Yes.
I just want to say the one thing about Jerry Rice that I think is the only way to summarize it. He was the favorite receiver of 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And I thought about this it's not just that he had a torch passing from Montana to Steve Young, but the way that a lefty throws the ball and the way a righty throws the ball and the way it comes in a football spins the freaking other way. One is counterclockwise, the other is clockwise, depending on which end you're receiving of it. And this guy not only adjusted to it, but he even got better. One actually could argue, I think his numbers are stronger with Steve Young at the end than even with Montana's. It is incredible. He redefined the stat run after catch.
Yes, he was the reason they made it. And here's why. Here's what's so cool. This was what blew me away about Jerry is that I couldn't understand it, but I just remember it's like, well, why come Jerry Rice never dives for the ball? How is it that he's always there? And there's that great highlight, right, where he just pops his hand out, doesn't break stride, and scores. And the mindset, that's the big thing. Again, talking about life leadership in the NFL, Lou, it's the mindset. He says, well, if I'm on the ground, I can't score.
Yeah.
So I don't want to dive. I want to be able to get there in time and catch it so I can keep running and score. And then the other side that people don't remember is this is the other part of Jerry that people don't give him credit for. Jerry was prime time before Deion Sanders came.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I totally.
Jerry would go in at halftime and change uniforms because he didn't want to get his uniform dirty. And Prime gets credit for saying it, but Jerry lived it, which is look good, play good, pay good. Woohoo!
It has been a fun conversation here on Diamond Cut Money Talks because
Thanks to you, Lou Diamond.
We covered it all. Fun trivia, playoff predictions, the best wide receivers. I look forward to hearing more. I think, by the way, there are a couple of guys that are out on the field today or that might even be drafted this year that years from now will fall into this list because the talent level just keeps going up for what these guys can do.
Those are big words.
Big words, but we'll have to see. Well, I just want it's always a pleasure to chat with you, Evan. I want you to keep thriving onward and upward.
And life is tremendous.
You've been listening to Diamond Cuts Money Talks with Lou Diamond and Evan Money. Download, subscribe, and listen wherever you get your podcasts. And share this episode with your friends in the Good Pods app. Thanks for listening.